as you can see, we're at the Zebulon B. Vance birthplace. And this is just the beginning. This is his the visitor center. So we got some information, and we're gonna go check out all the houses and stuff that's there. I wanted to give you a little heads up on Zebulon Vance. Here's his early childhood. Loved the outdoors, it said. And he was in a great place to love the outdoors here in western North Carolina. So this is that I'm showing you now. His father sent him to Tennessee when he was 12 to attend Washington College. He received what is equivalent of a high school education. His father's death, he could no longer afford the schooling. He moved to Asheville so he could go to school here. At 22, he attended, he wrote to University of North Carolina. Let's see. He got money to finance 1 year of education. He was in the Phi Gamma Delta fraternity, where he honed his speech making and debating skills, it says. And then in 1852, he got his license to practice law. And in 1853, Buncombe County elected him to county solicitor, and he became licensed to practice in Superior Court. And then in 1853, he also married Hattie or Harriet Newell Espy of Quaker Meadows, which is in Burke County, not too far from here. She was an orphan, but she had a well-known family name, it says. They built their house on a 5-acre lot in Asheville, and their first child died in infancy, and the couple soon had 4 more sons. I have 1, that's plenty. I can't imagine having 4. This is just a few things. Here he is as a soldier. Here's some soldier type things that he may have worn, I guess, and guns and swords that he may have used. There is a field trip in here. That's why you hear all the noise. We're not the only ones that want to see this today. Let's see. I think he was one of the ones that tried to free slaves, but it didn't happen in his time. He became governor again in North Carolina in 1876, and he worked on the Western North Carolina Railroad too, and then was elected to the United States Senate. He had a really distinct honors of employment. Now, this is called a carpet bag. If you've ever heard of a carpet bag and not known what it was, this is what it is. They were used for travelers, as a piece of luggage, and usually the bag was made out of old carpet scraps. So we have this map in our hand, and the buildings are here on it. We're going to get out of this noise and go record. I thought this was neat. These are brothers. This was, of course, Zebulon Vance on the left. And on the right is his brother Robert. Vance on the right. They both were in the Civil War together at the same time, even. And they both were serving for the same side. Then they were Unions in the Confederate military. And his brother also went on, it says here, to after he was captured and then released. He was like paroled by the order of President Lincoln, and then he went on to serve in 1896. 1872 to 1896. I'm sorry, in the House of Representatives. So they both had a lot of good history in their family, and it all started out right here. We're going to go through the gates and see. This main house is right here. And as far as we were told, if the door is shut, we can't go in it. So maybe I'll just go to the window and see what's there. That's a pretty big house to raise a family in the 1800s, in my opinion. Maybe they've elaborated on it a little. I really don't know. Let's see what's in here. Oh, you can't see in the window. Really blurry. Anyway, there's some firewood. Of course, everybody in the mountains that has a fireplace has firewood near their door. There's another field trip down there. Maybe we can hitch a ride inside one of these buildings with a field trip, they said. Look at this view this family had. It's just spectacular. That's probably part of the Blue Ridge Parkway. We're not very far from it at all. And try to read something to you. This house was originally built in the 1790s by Zebulon Vance's grandfather. It's a 5-room, 2-story house, considered a pioneer's mansion. Like I said, it was big. It is big. When his father died, the 890-acre farm was sold piece by piece to pay off debts and to take care of the family. It is really... Oh, this window looks better. It is really a big house for that time period. That's sad that they had to sell things off. Okay, I see in there. Looks like a table with some china on it, maybe. I don't know what that is. Maybe a part of a gun. Do you guys see that? I don't know. Alright, let's look at the map and try to figure out where we are. We just left the main house. Hold on, okay. The main house. Alright. Where Troy is, that's the tool house. So I guess they would have stored their tools in there. Like we have little, we have some little things, little houses, little buildings is what we call them at our house. And they're just little tool buildings. We put the lawnmower in it, and we put, I don't know what else we have in there. Just spare tools. But here they're using it to store firewood. So I guess they actually use the fireplace at times. Okay. And this house here. Golly, this is kind of... We should have gone on a tour. This is hard to do. Okay. I may have told you wrong, but I don't think that was a corn crib. This looks more like a tool house. Okay. There are tools in here. as you can see. Wow, the lighting's really good considering everything's in the dark. There's a box. So this is the tool house. So over where we just were, that's called a smokehouse. And a smokehouse to me would be where you would cure your meats. So they didn't use it that way. I guess they used it for, well, maybe they did use it that way. And nowadays they're using it as a firewood holder. This is, let's see what this is. It might be better just to walk over here and figure it out. The Loom House. Sorry about that. We're right at the highway. This is the Loom House. So I would imagine that the mother or daughters or whoever, they would come in here and they would spin their wheel over there in the back, and then they would put it on the loom and make rugs or blankets, bedding, whatever they made. There's some stuff there. All this is modernized, we know that, but you know, they're doing the best they can to show us. But this little building has an upstairs. You can see a window there with a nice spider web in it. And here's the steps to it. And it's got something that you would unlock and get in there. Okay, so if we've seen the smokehouse, the tool house, is this the corn crib? I guess that they would keep corn maybe for their animals. I mean, I know here in our mountains you can grow edible corn, or you can grow corn that's like used just for animals, and it feeds them, and you can keep it through the winter. Most people have silos nowadays, but they may have, gotta go all the way around here to figure this out. That could have been the corn crib. There's something where they might have kept a little fire and some little benches. Those are cute little benches. And this is the smokehouse, I bet you, because that's supposed to be meat being cured, pre-tinned meat. I'm getting all these houses confused. I really wish they would label them better, and this map is not very helpful. Let's see, visitor centers. We're going to go down there and see what that is. Now, you can't really tell here, but this ground is wet. There are walnuts falling all over the place. And I don't have the best shoes on like normal. And if you don't trust me that that is a walnut, or don't know what the inside of a walnut looks like, this black piece is the outer part of a walnut. And you would let that sit out and cure and dry. And you could, it's very, very dirty to touch this green stuff. It'll turn your fingers black. But the squirrels are getting them right now and storing them away for winter. But anyway, the walnut is in there. You break it open after it dries. And man, if somebody would make me a black walnut cake and send it to me, I would be in heaven. I love black walnut cakes. Okay, so I'm having to be very careful. These walnuts are everywhere. We definitely couldn't do a midnight challenge out here. We'd fall and kill ourselves, even with good shoes. I'm thinking that this is, oh man, I don't know what I'm thinking of this. I'm running out of things to think it is. I'm thinking it could possibly be a well. I don't know. Let's go see. It's got some steps. Wells go down into the earth. What is that? Okay, there's standing water there. With walnuts in it. So maybe this was a spring house? A well house? I don't know. Do you know what this is? Well house?
Well house.
Yeah. It's not on the map.
Oh, it's not?
Mm-mm.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be. I mean, I've seen them when I took
Some
the camera and I
picnic
looked and I
benches.
saw where there's water buckets in there.
Yeah.
That's where they would do like target practice, it looks like.
Yeah, maybe
There's actually
so.
a tree that came up over there. You can see the roots in the ground sticking right up.
Well, I'll head over there in a minute. I want to see this slave house first.
Okay, is that what that is?
Yeah, that's a slave
I didn't
quarters.
go there because they were doing a...
I don't know why they have these covered. I guess to keep people from actually really burning. But they're missing one. One of them's open.
That's where they would do it. But I think that's, you know, they had the
That
big...
might be a kettle, and it's upside down.
It is a kettle.
And they would cook in that. They wash their clothes and stuff. Yeah.
So that makes sense. You have water here, put it in your kettles, wash your clothes.
Yep. Okay, let's go head over there to the slave house.
Okay.
I'll be careful on those walnuts. Yeah, I just had a big speech about walnuts to these people.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
And we're having to like climb. So this would be how far away. I'm going to kind of pan it out. There's the main house. And one of those other little houses. I can't remember which one that is. And then we're going to go slowly in front of Troy. All the way down here would be their slave house. And there's a school group in there. So I'll read to you what it says about the slave house. The slave cabin. The Vance owned 10 to 18 slaves who lived in 3 cabins like this, closer to most white families' homes than a typical slave cabin. Wow, that's supposed to be a nice looking slave cabin. Alright, Vance slaves cooked, tended field, and cared for animals and children on this farm. They also cleaned rooms and stockyards at the drover's stand in Marshall. Well, Marshall is not very close to where we are, so they would have to go there to do their... They might have had like a farm stand or something.
Oh, okay.
It's a drover's stand. Yeah. Maybe we can go be part of this tour and listen a little bit to what she's saying. Looks like they had a little stream running through here. Where that dip is in the ground. And between those...
Between the woods and the field.
Yeah. I just heard her say that the slaves would work 6.5 days a week, 12 hours a day. That's a lot.
Things like patching your clothes, patching your quilts, those are going to fall to the side. So you won't focus on it because it's not yours.
They did everything here. I mean, even patched holes in your clothes and in your quilts.
It's a weasel for measuring yarn. That was the same one? Yeah.
We saw the mattress key, the bed key from there, and then
You can see the ropes on
right here.
Then, I have a question. So it goes over the ropes and you twist and put a pin in it. You go to the other side and do it. And you have to have 2 people. Yeah, sorry. I have a question. Would the African American pick that? Or this one potentially, probably not this one because it's flames and has to be fire.
So all that I can see from here or hear from here is that there is a bed in there. And they might have had some sort of water source, and maybe a pan, a bedpan type thing to use the bathroom. You all know how slaves were treated. It was horrible. And, at least having a bed up off the ground is pretty nice. So they did have that, at least in this cabin. So, I'll show you a different view now. These are some woods that they had, but still that huge pasture. And that was probably part of their property that they had to sell off piece by piece to pay off their debts when the father died. Beautiful mountain there. And they have a picnic area I'll show you before we leave. And we'll head on back. I'm really glad that this is North Carolina's history and in its education. And my son not recently, he's a teenager now, but when he was younger, he came out here and came home telling lots of facts about Zebulon Vance. I was very proud of him. And to know it was right down the road from where we lived, it was even better. We have so much history here in Western North Carolina. And these kids here are learning about it as well. I'm going to zoom in on that. There's a little picnic area behind that truck. If you want to come out here and have a picnic. Or I guess these school groups could do that too. I don't know. Here are the little houses. There's the tool house, the loom house, the smoke house, the spring house, the corn crib, and then we are going to go find the cemetery.